As noble citizens, we must bypass a life of dormancy and vice to pursue the generative endeavor of a hard day's work. The benefits of these pursuits are not secured by chance or charity, but through the merit of your character and the firmness of your convictions. It is you who are planting the seeds of trees whose shade you know you shall never see.
What's up? Hello. Welcome to a last-minute episode of the Broken Wind podcast. We had we thought a really exciting interview in the tank. We got some really crazy opportunity to interview a really well-known world leader, very evil guy, but
this was finally going to be a real podcast.
We were finally going to be a real podcast.
Finally going to have an interview.
We had it in the tank, and of course the Nelk boys snaked us, and I guess thank God, because boy, are people mad at them.
Yeah, we were in talks with Netanyahu.
We were trying, that's the bit. We did interview Netanyahu, but now that we've seen how the Nelk boys are being treated, then we're going to just actually not release that for the audience also at home. This is a joke. We would not actually interview Netanyahu. We just thought it would be funny to be pretending like we have to record an episode last minute because we canceled our other episode. And I want to also make a shout out right at the top of the show to our listeners. Crazy to believe we have any at all, but thank you so much for listening. Thank you to the Hexbear contingent. Special shout out to Karcharadana. Thank you so much for listening. And then also special shout out to Comrade Shark. Thank you for listening, my dude. Shark, yes, thank you for a whole month.
We appreciate you. We appreciate the comments.
Salute. Thank you. And so now that we've done our shouts out and our bits, I think we also should take a moment at the top of the show to just have a sort of moment of realness about the ongoing side, because it just does not stop and keeps getting worse. And particularly, it just seems that the goal is death by starvation is the main tactic at this point. And you've seen multiple posts out there of Palestinian folks either talking about like humane organizations offering to evacuate their pets because they're living under such horrible circumstances, and neglecting to make the same offer to the Palestinian human being living in conditions that are not fit for a dog. I've seen a distinct uptick in posts on Blue Sky of not only people posting their starving children, which is horrific. This is not like, anything wrong with doing that and trying to garner sympathy and support. It's just tough. And you also see a lot of these folks holding their pets and cats and dogs too, I think, because they understand that truly a disturbing swath of the American population has more sympathy for cats and dogs than starving human beings. Yeah, so Israel, them forever. They do not have a right to exist. They do not have a right to starve people to death to claim their land. And I do believe that it was also
they
like
don't have a right to exist. Yeah.
Certainly not. Yeah, I mean, people can exist wherever they want by my estimation, but they cannot behave like this anywhere on Earth, and in my estimation either. And this is, we joked up at the top, but it is a very grim moment for all of this, because we're going to talk about a lot of the rest of the stuff going on in the world, but it does really feel as if you're seeing this with Russia too, that like, the countries that conduct these kinds of operations are looking at this never-ending tripping over his own dick that's happening with Trump and Epstein and saying, boy, this is a great opportunity to just do whatever the we want, unleash whatever level of carnage we want on people. And I really feel for the people of Palestine, and wherever I can offer support, I will, but it's also so scary too, because of, you see what's happening in the UK too. It's like, I'm ashamed to admit that the idea of like me sending money to someone in Palestine and then that being used against me by this fascist state is not something I don't think about, and it sucks, but it's like that's just where we are now.
That's the point of terrorizing your own citizens.
Right. They're terrorists. And I guess, I forgot to say too, I'm here with my main man, my super producer Vane. How are you doing today, my friend?
I'm doing all right today. Could be better.
We were just talking before we started recording about car trouble.
Car troubles. That's always fun, great. Right, guys?
Always a blast. Yeah, don't you guys love car trouble? We're doing our best on both of our ends, trying to keep it together. And we want to once again just thank our audience for being here in this little space where we can all be the people we'd rather be when we aren't in our workplaces. So I also was sharing an anecdote with my friend here about my workplace that I would love to share with the listeners, but it's perhaps a little too revealing, so maybe we'll save it for a Patreon or something in the future. But I wanted to get to some good news too, at least relatively. And this really caught my attention.
Anything would be good news, relatively.
Anything. I got you, bro. I got you. So the Brazilians, bless their heart, have formally joined the International Criminal Court of Justice case against Israel. Nice. And that's a pretty big deal, in my opinion, because as much as Americans just don't think of Brazil at all, really, it's like doesn't really enter the American consciousness, I feel like, on an average basis, outside of like, I don't know, maybe your contractor speaks Portuguese or something. But
one ought to know that it is the largest country in South America, and therefore
exactly
one of the most, if not the most, critical piece of real estate in South America.
And it's a huge populace. Yeah, hugely influential, particularly in the banking world. That's a real thing. Like all finance outside of like the Anglosphere, the Brazilians are involved in some way, and in the Anglosphere too.
And always the first one for grabs.
Yeah. Well, I think Brazil is a super interesting place too because it's a neo-colonial place. It is a place where you had the Enlightenment liberalism existing alongside literal like racial enslavement, which created a real sort of like
it's where the Portuguese
contradictory
set up
society.
Yeah, as their main base of South America.
Right.
The treaties, I think, that ultimately was set up by the church.
Right.
That I recently learned about, actually, in the book that we're studying for our Florida series. Shouts out!
Oh yeah, get ready, folks! It's
ready.
In the works. We're cooking
preparing.
On it.
We're cooking on it.
We're cooking. We're in the kitchen.
Little thing that I learned from that was that the Vatican gave basically Spain the rights to North America, essentially, and it gave South America to Portugal. And they considered those to be the only two territories at the time that it needed to satisfy that had a colonial ambitions. But that treaty was destined to fail because it was only going to satisfy Catholics that would listen to the Vatican. And as Protestants started going out there, they weren't necessarily going to listen.
Well, Brazil always fascinates me because it has such a unique relationship with its colonial overlords that were eventually basically it's like the Portuguese get that deal from the Catholic Church and then realize they got the really good end of that deal because Brazil's huge. There's a lot of people there.
South America,
there's a lot of resources.
Really great for resources.
Right.
Yeah.
And so basically, like the Portuguese are living large off of Brazil for a very, very long time. But then during the Napoleonic Wars, because Portugal, for however exceptional and seafaring their people may be, it's a tiny place. And when the Napoleonic armies of Europe started knocking on their door, at a certain point, the Portuguese royal family fled to their colonies in Brazil, which is a very and set up their whole monarchy.
I do know that it's set up as a very racially divided society that ultimately imported as much as 50% of the slaves in the Atlantic slave trade.
Right.
That's a massive part of why slavery was so particularly horrifying in Brazil, not to cast away blame from what happened in the United States.
No, but the Confederates fled there in droves for a reason, like it was a very and this attaches to what I'm saying, which is like, when that happened and the Portuguese royal family set up their, new royal court in Brazil, this is the only European monarchical polity to more or less transplant its seed of power in the royal family into their colony and create this synthesis of a place where you have all of that neo-colonial angst, but then you also have the highest orders of Portuguese society bringing all of their capital and resources and accumulated privilege into the Brazilian society and having a net positive effect in a lot of ways. And that's what allowed for that contradiction to exist and deepen for so long, was that you had these people simultaneously uplifting the bourgeoisie and upper middle classes of Brazil, while also reinstantiating the racial orders of slavery.
And importing a horrific number of African slaves.
Exactly.
And such that it's reported that there's horrifying examples of helmets that had to be constructed to keep these slaves from killing themselves and eating, they would try to kill themselves by eating dirt, is my understanding. So they made particularly cruel devices in Brazil for their slaves, and it is known for being especially cruel to slaves. And that did explain, I didn't understand that the Portuguese royal family had actually escaped and settled there.
Yeah.
But I did
understand super interesting
that the colonialism played a massive role in setting up this very racially divided society in Portugal, where the color of your skin was ultimately determinant in your social position.
Exactly. But it's still a profoundly different relationship with European monarchy than we have here in North America, which is very interesting. And we've somehow, I don't know how this happened on a leftist podcast, but we've once again somehow strayed into a very depressing corner of history.
Historical materialism.
Listen to this motherfucking transition. We were talking other podcasters getting in trouble up at the top, right? We've got another story to that effect. You like that? So it just dropped recently, in the last, I guess, a couple, 12 hours or so, that the Macrons are suing Candance Owens for repeatedly and insistently claiming that Bridget Macron is trans, which... just beautiful. Just
it goes to show that what you say can have international consequences, even if there may be no domestic consequences to saying the most horrible things.
They're in France. They can't touch me. They come on, Candance. Look, podcaster to podcaster, you gotta chill on. Really go it's just, I don't know. I got no love for Candance Owens. I'm trying to make something out of this, but her. She's such a piece of shit anti-Semite.
Yeah, but what we are seeing is the new emerging demographic of the far right extremists who are starting to disagree in some places with Trump, and that we're seeing that that's an emerging market. And that these people are always scouting for new markets and demographics to explore. They are purely opportunists at heart. And so what we're finding is new grifts starting to open up. And I think the first one that really happened was Nick Fuentes, pretty recently, has been hard criticizing Trump, but not for... good reasons, but because he doesn't do enough Nazism and he's not effective as a Nazi.
And now 10 years into this, we get, Epstein's, that's all fake. Here's the MLK files that you wanted. And you go, really? Fuck you. You bury the Epstein files as if that's not bad enough. You're going to lie to our faces, tell us it's a Democrat hoax. If you're not going to go with the lie, you're not a real supporter. You're not a real one. Oh, and now, well, here's some MLK files that are a load of shit. Isn't this what you wanted? We're the most transparent administration in history. And you go, fuck you. What do you mean? What a lie. You're lying. You know you're lying. You're lying to our face. You know we know you're lying. You don't even care. You're just giving us the finger and rubbing it in our faces.
These people are emerging almost like the Jimmy Dore on the right and recognizing this opportunity to say, like, I'm the true white supremacist and Trump actually doesn't go far enough. And they're finding that to be a useful demographic. It's an interesting case study in opportunism.
Yeah, it's annoying seeing, opportunism, exactly. It's like, it's annoying seeing the ways in which the right is finding opportunity in, like, tangentially sort of related is the way in which, like, Tucker and Marjorie Taylor Greene are starting to stake out a, like, distinctly, like, anti-Israel position that's obviously undergirded by anti-Semitism, but it's, like, ultimately, like, that's just going to reinforce the idea that, like, to be anti-Israel is to be anti-Semitic. And it's, like, annoying to see them sucking up the oxygen of that space. But if there's no opposition party doing the same thing, then, like, of course that's going to happen.
Yeah, or you're seeing the podcaster space, like the Joe Rogans or Tim Dillons, starting to recognize that the public is shifting. And they're starting to look embarrassed. And the Andrew Schultz also came out recently. And all of them are realizing they look like clowns by promoting Trump all the way up to the election. And now they're distancing themselves.
Bitch.
Yeah, you got conned. You're a fucking fool. And now you're trying to turn it around and be like, nah, not me, man. I'm actually pretty cool.
I'm cool still. Yeah, like, no, dude.
I'm always cool.
For it.
And you're just constantly tailing. Yeah, you fell for it again.
I hate them. It's annoying to come away from, like, this moment with, like, you're like, no, I still have insights, even though, like, I completely was, like, fell into, like, the reactionary shithead mindset of thinking, well, he does annoy all of my enemies, and therefore I think I should vote for Trump.
Yeah.
You shouldn't be allowed to have a driver's license. You're a moron. If you thought he was going to release anything related to Epstein, you should be I don't, like.
And that you want to come back now and try to add credibility to yourself by slightly distancing yourself at times. Yeah, off. And then also, I think importantly too, one to add is Charlie Kirk. He gets the phone call from Donald Trump, according to reports.
It was insane.
And then he's suddenly just like, I'm just going to completely drop the Epstein thing. I don't really care about it, actually. I'm going to trust my friends in the government.
Honestly, I'm done talking about Epstein for the time being. I'm going to trust my friends in the administration. I'm going to trust my friends in the government to do what needs to be done, solve it, balls in their hands. I've said plenty this last weekend.
And Dave Rubin did this too.
Ronald Reagan, the 8 scariest words in the English language. I'm from the government and I'm here to help. I trust Dan Bongino. I have no reason not to trust Kash Patel. I trust Donald Trump at the moment, as much as I trust anyone else. But they may just not have it. Like, maybe Epstein was smart enough not to have an actual list written out that said all of the specifics.
Sadly, I had the exact same thought as Dave Rubin, which is really too bad. But when I first heard this, I had the immediate thought, well, that is a far cry from Reagan's famous 9 words when he said,
I've always felt the 9 most terrifying words in the English language are, I'm from the government and I'm here to help.
And then you hear Charlie Kirk saying, I'm actually going to listen to my friends at the government, as if that's a tenable position that Republicans have ever said in the last 60 years. Go yourself.
Yeah. And look, like, as someone who has been fooled before many times, in fact, in his life, it's like, we're not done shooting shots at podcasters here, but, like, guys, it's okay to be wrong. It's okay.
Yeah, it's okay to be wrong. You look so much worse to pretend you weren't fooled.
Yeah, and also or to act like, it's like, oh, now you're getting it, except you don't have to express any contrition or anything.
Oh
or
my God!
Yeah, that's what pisses me off.
The Tim Dillon one was
now
crazy.
Things are changing, where it's like, this is the same person that you were able to sell yourself on voting for up until this point, but you're not going to express anything like, hey guys, maybe I have, I don't know, whatever. I was starting to say, I've been fooled before. I have no problem admitting I used to be a Russiagate lib. I used to read Louise Mensch, and I just essentially sat down and did some critical thinking with myself after a certain point and had to realize I got completely rooked by a bunch of people who, in a lot of senses, were fooling themselves. So I guess
there's a really great clip that I'd like to play of Tim Dillon.
Well, before you do, I want to intro this section because we're about 20 minutes in, and honestly, I think I want to spend the rest of the entire episode on this section, which I'm calling Epstein Ain't Going Away, folks. It's a returning section. He didn't kill himself.
He ain't going away.
And I think that
that might be the episode title.
That's a good one. And what I was saying is I don't think that it can be under discussed, even in quiet little corners of the internet like this. I don't think that we should ever stop just simply reiterating these facts to each other, because the nature of entropy of information is that does get lost and disappear in surprisingly scary and arbitrary ways. And this is a lot of the ways in which conspiracies percolate and become more opaque over time. And I do truly think that really, no matter what we do, Epstein is going to end up being kind of like JFK for millennials. You know what I mean? It's it's going to be one of those things that it's going to be it becomes harder and harder to explain to people who were not really conscious politically at that moment about what an absolutely earth-shattering, just piercing of the veil.
Yeah, that this is going to always be.
Right. When he was arrested, when Alex Acosta had to leave. And the thing I think in particular that just feels like it keeps getting just omitted from history, because I feel like even the discussion of did Jeffrey Epstein kill himself or not, without also contextualizing the murder attempt on him less than a month before that happened. It's so someone of mysterious, reasoning and motivation decided to try and kill him, and he survived that, and then he just killed himself a little while later. It's on its face. That is ridiculous. That doesn't make any sense. That's absurd.
That's what's so funny.
Baby. Right.
Yeah, and Tim Dillon he was also called by the White House and given this line from them that all that Epstein really had at his house was just commercial porn, and we didn't really want to release any of that. And that's all the footage.
I had dinner last week with the vice president. He told me that was commercial pornography. They do not have videos of any powerful person in a compromising position. That's the party line that they're going with. If that's the case, why would Pam Bondi call it evidence? Why would she say it's evidence? She's not an idiot. She's the attorney general. Why would she say she has files on her desk if none of these implicated anybody? It just feels like they're covering something. For sure.
This is a different moment, but he had another moment too. I really want to show this one of Tim Dillon because it so relates to what we were saying about them figuring out.
In the theme of shooting shots at podcasters, imagine the White House.
Podcasters figuring out the call is coming from inside the house.
The White House we got to get Tim Dillon on the line.
And he hasn't quite figured it out yet. Even a few weeks later, he's getting the call from Trump. He's believing them on the Epstein line, hook, line, and sinker, and hasn't pieced it together yet. But here's just a perfect example of you being such a rube, even though you're a funny guy and you're so close.
Mark.
He's so close here.
It's to a lot of things. Honestly, it's I always feel that you really should be you know, whether they're a comedian or a musician you like, it's like, just, you know, you can trust them on that thing, but like, you really don't need to assume that like the rest of their opinions are rock solid and really well fleshed out.
Right. If you think the guy's funny, don't look up his politics and base your life off his politics.
Right. Like, play the clip.
Here it is.
You didn't get elected to write a book or to go out clubbing or whatever the hell you're all doing. You didn't get elected to go on Don Jr.'s podcast. You got elected to tell us what the was going on. So you either don't know what's going on, and that's okay, then shut up. Or if you know what's going on and you, for whatever reason, cannot tell everybody, then shut up as well. Come to us with something. You need to have something, and it's starting to feel really shady.
Oh, is it?
And it's starting to feel
really?
You know, the more and more I think about everything, and the more and more like you sit back and you take
really
all
sit
the
back
facts in.
Just sit back, take it in,
you don't know,
start to process what's happening.
Never knowing.
Yeah.
But the things that you do know, you have to sit back and a picture begins to emerge in your head.
Yep.
Is the call coming from inside the house?
The child?
Is
that
kind
the image?
of theater that's happening. It's like a show, kind of theatrical, but it doesn't feel real. And it feels like the people in there, for whatever reason, are either unwilling, useful idiots who are being used by other people, or they're complicit in participating in whatever this is. I don't know.
It's that one.
Right.
It's definitely that one.
It's the latter. It's the latter. Oh my God. Yeah, it's like what you're describing is the feeling of getting fucking fooled, dude. Like,
yeah.
It's yes, like, and can we
let's
just take a moment. We got many more shots to fire at other podcasters here, but like, let's just take a moment for ourselves to just take our didn't fall for it award and just pin it on your chest.
Never
right
fell
here
for it.
Not for one second did this podcast ever fall for the idea that Donald Trump was
going to be progressive.
a prolific file and best friend of every episode. Yeah, like you people. God damn it. God, he's not going away. He's not going away, folks.
Although the increasing revelations that we keep finding, the continuous new reporting that comes out is shocking, even to someone who knew from very early on that this guy was good friends. But to find out that he is literally an accomplice, one of four major accomplices, I think, as well as Brunel, who also mysteriously killed himself.
Exactly. One of the most important people.
His business, the modeling business, turns out to be a literal channel to Epstein, that there's multiple reports now.
Right.
And it's incredible that people hadn't dug this stuff up beforehand, to be honest.
Right, because it's like I knew they were close. Everyone knew they were close. It's not, and that's one of the interesting things.
You get
about
the
a lot of the
tapes
new
from
stuff
Epstein himself saying we were best friends for 10 years. That's a tape with what's his name, Michael Wolff.
So how do you know this? That was close to straight.
That's what I was going to say. It's like there's a lot of stuff that's coming out. It's very interesting to
Bannon
observe.
did
Like,
15 hours with him and never released it.
15 hours that have never been released, dude. Yeah, right. Like these people are in on this shit. But what I was starting to say is like it's very interesting to see the way this reporting is going on now too, because the Wall Street Journal letter is new and we're gonna cover that, and no one's uncovered anything that's post 03 post Epstein arrest, which is something that I think a lot of us are sort of waiting to see, like if there's any proof of contact past that arrest, because that would be particularly damning. That's like his main defense, that he really doesn't even reach. He does, but like it's, I don't know, the wedding photos for him and Marla Maples' wedding, that had been out for years. It was just reported.
But I mean, people going back and circling it, people noticing them both in sitting in modeling runways together and things like that.
It's the same for the
putting
deposition
these photos
tape that you were
together
just
is
talking
strange.
It's like this stuff has been, a lot of the stuff's been out there. A lot of this stuff has been reported on by relatively obscure, brain broken gumshoe sickos, bless their hearts. And it's just now percolating its way up into the mainstream media that they're seeing like, oh, this is actually something there's a market for, and it's worth pissing off whatever wealthy this or that person may be pissed off by us dragging Jeffrey Epstein's name back into the mainstream. Not to get overly conspiratorial, but it is like, again, it's like this was out there, people, and ostensibly you've been antagonistic to this guy the whole time, but it's like now that he can't stop putting his foot in his mouth, you've decided to actually troll through Twitter and post these things. I don't know, but let's talk about the Wall Street Journal letter.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Let's, because
the letter would be good to talk about. That's a major drop when, which was a great example. Big dumps, big huge dumps.
He's famously said he takes big dumps, so I guess, there you go. But
so that letter, when it dropped, was huge. It's a great example of something that other people most likely had in their possession, but never dropped until the right timing. There was reporting that it might be Ghislaine Maxwell, and we'll talk too about the pardoning.
Oh, we'll get to
the
Lady
potential
Ghislaine
pardoning and all the news with Lady Ghislaine.
Oh yeah, that's that'll mollify the base. Is if you pardon Ghislaine Maxwell.
That's going to go very well.
But did you see the coverage Sam Cedar was doing? Shouts out to the Majority Report on Ghislaine's brother on Piers Morgan, literally saying like in no uncertain terms, making it clear that like, hey, Ghislaine has the option, should she get called before Congress, to just plead the fifth the whole time. And she may be inclined to do that if you can offer something, wink, 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 like that. He didn't say it in those terms, but he really, like, it was pretty obvious. The implication was like, if my sister gets immunity, she will shut the up in front of Congress.
Yeah.
Like, I'm trying to find the contents of the body letter, because it's
the ending part was
funny.
The body letter. Oh, I did see a great news report that I'll stick in that covered all of those details. I don't think I have it at the moment, but I'm going to drop it in here, and it'll be
we're doing great.
Yeah, basically this clip.
We have an episode.
I think it's Wolf Blitzer, if I remember, so we can pretend we're reacting to Wolf Blitzer here, doing actually some good journalism, which is right.
I just want to find the letter because it's so hilariously like.
Yeah, they cover a lot of the details, and in a great way with the news, where it's like it's a nice little kiss on the lips because he can't say a lot of the details the way we would. So he says like the Donald Trump is etched in a lady's name. He doesn't say her pubic region. He has his own cute way of saying it on the news, which is funny. And it covers a lot of the detail. But in general, what the letter says is that it starts with the voiceover, and it says like, what can you get a man who already has everything? That line's very key. The enigmas never age is a creepy ass line.
Oh my god, that it's like dumb guys who think they're spies, but they're actually just like
doing like each other. A coded language within a drawing of a woman's body. He says, I never make drawings. There's at least 4 drawings that have been reported now that look pretty similar with the same thick black pen around the same time period.
It's
so actually he did used to do doodles like that.
Yeah.
And so it basically says like voiceover starts, what can you get a man who already has everything? Creepy in this context. And then Donald says like enigmas never age.
Enigmas never age is the line that really
very
stuck out to
suspect
me.
Line, because people have said if you rearrange the letters of enigma, it forms some creepy word.
Yeah, that's
pedophiles use. That's kind of QAnon level stuff.
Yeah,
but in that context, it starts to make, and with they never age, it does kind of make the connection that it's like they're into people who never age, and it makes a lot of the lines that Donald Trump has said in the past of like, oh, Jeffrey likes them young just like I do, and things like that. It just makes a lot of those lines much more contextualized, as well as the tapes where he says I don't even wait. It's like, well, what don't you wait for?
What don't you wait for, Donald?
You know, I'm automatically attracted to beautiful. I just start kissing them. It's like a magnet. You just kiss. I don't even wait. And when you're a star, they let you do it. You can do anything.
Whatever you want.
And he says, when you're a celebrity, they let you do it. Very creepy.
This shit was well reported. The letter wasn't out there, but yeah, the fucking he likes some younger than I do thing. It's like, dude, like, what is that besides
like how
Donald
much
Trump acknowledging that his friend is a and he's
and
cool
then ends it, tags it out by saying, "May our lives be filled with more wonderful secrets."
Wonderful secrets,
something like that.
It's
wonderful
like a
secrets,
caricature of a guy writing a secret pedophile letter to his friend. It's like if you.
It is kind of like the same.
Book,
it's the same level of bad spying that James Bond is notorious for.
Yes,
like the world's worst spy, actually, because everyone in the room knows that his name is Bond, James Bond, and so it's like a movie about a spy who all the ladies fall in love with. Is ironically kind of a movie about a bad spy. And Archer sort of made a play on that, but it's like very much the case that...
Well, and I wanted to sort of like rehash a little bit of Jeffrey Epstein's bio here too, just to, once again, just like put it on the record again.
Yeah, let's put stuff on the record.
Exploring. But the thing I wanted to say too, just dovetailing off what you were saying about, I feel like we're always dovetailing on this show, but going on what you were saying about
dovetailing each other.
Constantly dovetailing. We're a couple of doves.
Doves spiraling.
Majestically. The thing you said about the argument coming from the White House too, basically that like, I mean, hey guys, we gave you everything that isn't child pornography. Sorry.
Yeah.
It's like
they gave us the binders.
The argument.
Phase 1 turned out to be everything.
Yeah. They thought, it turns out that they got through phase 1 and they're like, wow, I guess it's all child sexual abuse material. I guess you know what? The base is going to be mad, but they'll understand. They'll understand. We've got cash and, Dan Bongino.
And them saying constantly that they don't want to re-expose anybody or to hurt anybody. They keep saying they don't want to hurt the victims, but we all know that they're really guarding the victimizers, obviously.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, there were two lines I wanted to show with Trump, too, that we'll cut in here. The first one with the Fox interview where Trump was like asked if he would release the Epstein files. And he's like, yeah. And then he's suing, I think it's MSN, over a Kamala interview for editing in this kind of way, and Fox cut in this way.
They can to get people not to give a shit about this, and that's where I just
of course more authoritarianism, but Fox cut this segment in this way, purposely not showing the follow-up part that we're going to show, where Trump says, well, actually, we couldn't really release the Epstein files because there's a lot of phony stuff in there.
Would you declassify JFK files?
Yeah, I did a lot of it.
Would you declassify the Epstein files?
Yeah, I would.
All right.
I guess I would. I think that less so because, you don't know. You don't want to affect people's lives if it's phony stuff in there because there's a lot of phony stuff with that whole world. But I think I would.
And then there was another really revealing one where he was asked if he would release it recently, and he said, no, he won't, because there's phony stuff in there about him.
Because it was actually even before that administration, they've been running these files. And so much of the things that we found were fake with me.
And then also we got reporting that Pam Bondi let him know. I think major outlets have reported that Pam Bondi actually did report to him that his name came up a lot in the Epstein files and asked what he wants to do about that. And obviously he said, bury it.
Right, of course. Well, and like I was saying, it's like they're throwing everything they can out there to try. They're going to release.
Yeah, it's crazy. The distractions, just all the things that are coming up. Like the Washington Redskins. He's bringing up all these like old ass things as like Hail Marys.
Yes, that's what I was
so
saying.
Funny.
It's like I just for the listener, you may have heard me walking around and heard some noise or whatever, and it's a lightning and thunder where I am. My power just flickered a little bit, so hopefully we don't lose me. But I'm holding a copy of a book by a certain FBI director and podcaster, a book called Spygate that came out in, I believe, let me see. Yeah, for the listener, I am a proud owner of Dan Bongino's book about what one of the key pieces of bullshit they're throwing against the wall is right now, and it's the thing that Tulsi Gabbard got up on stage and talked about with Carolyn Levitt, I think yesterday. And it's the thing that if they arrest Barack Obama, which they 2018 this book came out. This has been out, this is their main thing, the Spygate shit. This came out in 2018, and it's about the 2016 election. So if they try and arrest Barack Obama, which, like, by all means, go ahead. I don't give a shit.
I don't know what for, but I guess.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, so I wanted to say, like, I don't know if you caught Tulsi Gabbard's whole, like, briefing on this. I mean, Carolyn Levitt.
I missed the Tulsi thing.
Well, I know you're a Tulsi boy.
Got a big Tulsi
I know you love Tulsi. Yeah, she was looking real super villainous, and you were off on the Iran pivot thing or whatever, I think, but she is definitely angling to. She's definitely ambitious.
She's
and
always angling,
and that's why she's picked up the mantle of Spygate. And Spygate is something that
she was a good example of that. Why I left the left grift. Who started
my God,
in that
she's
podcast
the queen.
space.
She's the OG.
Yeah, she's like the queen of the female Democrat deserter, whereas Jimmy Dore was the male one, and they became models, much like the Pathfinder right now. Candance Owens and Nick Fuentes are really blazing a trail to be too far to the right for Donald Trump.
Ethno-fascist. Yeah, good for you guys. You're so look at you. You're so interesting with your racial background that you think absolves you from having bad opinions and stupid ideas about how society should be run. But anyway, so
did you want to talk that PBD thing too, or not yet?
We'll get to that, but I want to actually give a quick little detour on Spygate too, because I found this fascinating to watch Tulsi reiterate the facts, quote unquote, of Spygate, because for anyone not aware in the audience, like, I couldn't blame you. It is possibly the most boring and uninteresting conspiracy theory ever conceived of. Dan Bongino released this in 2018, and it was supposed to be some kind of bombshell. And within MAGA world, it was fairly well known. But it's truly, like, boring, dribble nonsense. The idea is that President Obama worked with the intelligence community and, like the Christopher Steele. It's basically just like Russiagate rehashed, but with the idea being that Barack Obama purposely, like, confabulated and helped perpetuate Russiagate and therefore committed some sort of capital offense. It's the most, like, pathetic, like, posturing, like, notice me senpai sort of, like, attempt at building a career, and it worked because Dan Bongino's the f***ing podcaster at the FBI now. But it's f***ing such nonsense, because to hear these people crow about Russia when you won that election that was almost 10 years ago, it's like, guys, Epstein ain't going away. He's not, all right? He didn't kill himself. He's not going away. It's, oh my God.
Is it this one?
Unbelievable. And you should play this PBD clip now too, because like, first off, like, Vinny from PBD, hilarious.
Can I do this and then also, Tulsi one, or is this the wrong one?
Yeah, do the Tulsi. I mean, no, do the I don't know,
PBD.
Like I
said,
got
that one queued up.
Yeah, play the PBD one, because I'm telling you, like, Spygate is so boring. Tulsi Gabbard in her, like, news briefing about Spygate it seemed like she was, like, gonna fall asleep while she was explaining it. It sucks. It's so boring. We'll play it if we need to fill time. And
there was another clip where Vinny was actually right over Adam on PBD, and it's sad that I know the names of these characters.
Oh, they're legends. We love them.
Yeah, they are kind of legendary. Vinny goes super red when he's mad. I've seen that multiple times.
As a fellow
he was actually right, like,
him.
this one time. I would say more right than Adam was, who was, like, egregiously wrong a few weeks ago. But yeah, I don't know if I've seen this one.
Is this the one where Adam is like, "Do you trust this guy?" Is that the clip you want to play?
That's I think that's this one that I could play that too.
I think this is like really I think this is like the fraction in the MAGA base. This is the conflict summarized between these two dipshits. So play it.
We are built on pedophilia and blackmailing the most powerful
What do you mean we are built? Define that. Do you mean our entire country? Our entire government? Our entire FBI, CIA?
I'm saying this. Whoever,
or this is one little operation that they don't want to expose.
Whoever he was working for, Epstein, Mossad, CIA, everything. Apparently, the most powerful people on the world were flying to an island and having sex with underage kids because she said it. There's tens of thousands of hours of them doing it. If we're built on that and the most powerful people that are running the show are in charge, the guy's telling Cash Patel, the thing that you just read, shut up. Shut up about it. I want accountability for everybody. If it's the president of anything, expose them because, Adam, the truth has to come out.
Okay,
I
so
don't think this is the clip.
Yes.
My dear friend.
I wanted.
I agree with you. But at what price?
Take a deep breath.
But hold on.
This is it. This is it.
At any price, Adam.
So you're saying to expose whatever happened on Epstein Island, you're willing to do whatever this looks like?
Yes.
No, this isn't the one I wanted. Play the one with Adam asking him about, do you trust Cash Patel? Play that one. That was beautiful. Yeah.
I'll see if I can find that. And then also, it reminds me of another Tim Dillon one recently where
there's only so many of these right-wing podcasters I'll allow in our show. I got to level with you. We got like 30
only
more
got
seconds
so much
of
time. It might fit in, but there's one where Tim Dillon says, like, basically pick your pedophile is his argument.
I'm giving advice to people now that live in this country. Choose the pedophile you agree with. What pedophile has the viewpoint that you align with? Who is the pedophile that's going to keep us out of costly foreign wars? Who is the pedophile who's going to make sure your children have a shot at the American dream? You cannot ask that they don't kids. You cannot ask that.
Both sides are pedophiles, which is such a bullshit argument, actually, because bullshit. I don't remember anyone ever leveling a serious accusation against Kamala that the two choices were actually a pedophile. You're actually just a fucking moron. Just own it. Like, when you had these two choices, you made the wrong choice. You can't pivot now and suddenly say, oh, they were all files and exactly the same. They're not. You're watching the wrong sport if that's the case. If you watched the Harlem Globetrotters play the Washington Generals and your takeaway was, oh, both sides really have to try harder, you're a fucking moron. You didn't pay attention to the game, or you don't understand the core concept of the fact that the Washington Generals always lose. The whole point is that they're not trying hard enough. And so for you to fucking say, oh, they should both try harder, come up with an actual reasonable criticism that might actually apply to both sides. But don't just lazily assume both sides are files, you fucking moron.
Or else you're literally just the Republican version of the vote blue no matter who argument. Yeah. That's the thing that really pisses me off whenever I hear that from these people is like,
you have
cool.
liberal
so you're
derangement
exactly the
syndrome.
Same as any Democrat who gets mad at the people who didn't want to vote for.
You've had liberal derangement syndrome the whole time. When you were randomly hearing that Kamala's gonna trans everybody in the schools, you were a fucking moron. You were just reading into whatever you wanted, and this is the proof here that you're saying, oh, they were both pedophiles. Show me the fucking credible evidence that Kamala was a pedophile, and I will show you any person on the left or the liberal side that says, show me the dirt on the Clintons, for example, and I'm willing to send them to jail. I want everything to be revealed. I want you to go after Clinton. I'm not denying that Clinton or possibly even Hillary might be implicated and that some Democrats, we're not denying that the guy at the top of the party is one of the co-conspirators and best friends of this guy. And you are. And you're saying, oh, everybody's a pedophile. Nope, you're a fucking moron.
Nope, wrong. F you. You got fucking rooked, and now you're trying to come up with some kind of
quippy
that makes
attitude,
you feel like
and you're a fucking nihilist. And you're pretending it took actually Hunter Biden, of all people, to be the voice of reason in that recent interview and to just remind the public of the humanity of these people and to say like, hey, isn't it kind of up that some of these people may never come back? Because what we know about these kinds of places around the world they are concentration camps, and you're delusional if you're lying about that. And the Hunter clip was actually kind of fantastic about that, because it's a guy who doesn't have any political ambitions as far as I can tell. And so he's willing to actually state the obvious. And sometimes the obvious is not that both sides are exactly the same. Grow the up.
If you think that the prison in El Salvador is not a concentration camp, you're out of your mind. Tell me anybody that's returning from there. You saw those pictures. Do you think anybody's getting out of there? Or, is it a rehabilitation center? Out of your mind. That's a death camp. They're done. They're over. And if you're not dead, you would want to be dead if you were in that prison. And we just sent a bunch of people without due process, some of them most likely legally in the United States. Like, we sit here and we talk about the one guy because there's a clear legal path to being able to get him back. What about all those other people? Am I not supposed to feel for someone? Am I going to be like all these Democrats say, you have to talk about and realize that people are really upset about illegal immigration? You. How do you think your hotel room gets cleaned? How do you think you got food on your table? Who do you think washes your dishes? Who do you think does your garden? Who do you think is here by the sheer just grit and will that they figured out a way to get here because they thought that they could give themselves and their family a better chance? And he's somehow convinced all of us that these people are the criminals?
Well, I'm not willing yet to put Hunter on my problematics fave list, although I will say, too, that the Andrew Callahan and Hunter Biden interview is probably a less problematic podcast than the Nelk Boys Netanyahu interview. So you know what? It's all shades of gray at that point. And like I said, we're shooting shots at podcasters today. So today, that's fine. What was? Did
we want to show the other PBD one with Vinny?
Yeah, that's the one I wanted. It's the one.
Yeah,
with him
the
and
original
Adam
one you
arguing.
wanted. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh my God. I think I sent you the timestamp for it.
I got it. Yeah, it's right here. Here we go.
Nice.
Loud, and you can be wrong. It's hard to be loud and wrong.
Show me where I'm wrong, and I'll shut up.
But the point is, you're not right. But here we go.
Where am I wrong?
Is Kash Patel lying?
He's not. 100% he's lying.
So 100% Kash Patel's a liar.
Was Dad lying about Santa Claus?
Adam, he was in the administration. He said they had all of it.
Is Dan Bongino a liar?
Yes, yeah, he did. Adam. Yeah, he did.
Is Pam Bondi a liar?
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Blatantly lying.
Is Trump a liar?
I think so,
Yeah.
Adam. I think they're all lying to us, Adam.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
finally.
Even if it's a little lie,
Okay,
they
so
lie.
how about this? They're all liars.
Yeah.
Who's right? Because you probably absorbed a lot
Hunter
of content
Biden is
on
right.
X. I assume. I know X is your thing.
No,
Who's right out there?
He's like, you're being gaslit by social media. Like, it's like they're f***ing the libs. They're the vote blue no matter who lives. Like, it's insane.
Yeah, it was always
so
about that. And whenever
infuriating.
someone like Jimmy Dore was saying, oh, I'm the real Democrat, you were just infiltrating. And now we all know what that looks like. There's a clear model for it. And it turns out to be what the conditions of a failing democracy starts to look like, is that you have these defectors emerge, opportunists essentially emerge out of the fractionalism, and there's always more and more smaller and smaller markets to go after for these people in the fringes.
I was going to say, to zoom out a little bit too, like, I was thinking about a point you made earlier this week when we were just chatting about intelligence services, and I want to go into Epstein's bio a little bit after this, because I just put something in the Discord I don't know if you know about, but intelligence. You made this point to me in one of like your long texts you won't send me about how
friends of the pod now.
Friends of the pod now, and you know what? We love them, but we'll get them on Substack soon. And you made this point that, like, one of the, I think, takeaways you can get from this moment is that they're true, and this is one of the fictions of the post-World War II United States, is that there can be and is a benevolent intelligence agency. And I think we can learn pretty definitively from all of this that that's not true. Intelligence agencies are by their very nature anti-democratic. They are by their very nature like the seeds of like neo-fascist movements. It was the seeds that ultimately brought down the Soviet Union. That it's not a coincidence that the former intelligence KGB agents end up emerging as the oligarchic thugs in the wake of the collapse. It's not a coincidence at all. It's their job. Their job is to act as if the law is merely a set of rules that they need to find a way around and be the exception to wherever. Like, it is not an okay thing to allow in society. Yeah, we've talked about the reactionary nature of Hollywood movies and how it creates this precedent of the cop who doesn't play by the rules, essentially. Right. And that really is the mentality that we see also working to serve the CIA. And that's why there's a precedent for the CIA actually working behind these movies. And we're always going to have to speculate now that did they work on the set of 3 Days of the Condor? Did they work on the Bourne Identity series just in order to make people more and more okay with the idea that, you know, the world is a dangerous place. And if I'm not spying on the bad guys right now, then somebody else is going to be spying on you. And you have to be afraid that there's always going to be spies, and that has to be accepted. So you might as well make them seem cool. And then the idea of James Bond bringing him back in is like, well, the thing that makes him such a quote unquote cool figure in Hollywood movies is that he's a man who doesn't have to abide by the law. And that was very intentional from MI6 to start supplanting this idea in culture that, you know, we need to have these mysterious forces behind us. And the guys who invested in that and who created the Bond novels, for example, turn out to often be intelligence themselves. And that's why there's even speculation that like Orwell is part of intelligence. These guys are always trying to put... Whether they know it or not. Yeah, they're trying to put this stuff out in culture so that people are forced to believe that it has to be acceptable. And we've talked about, too, the state of nature, quote unquote, and the way that, like, people who look at the archaeological record will have their own slant on what they're trying to interpret from the archaeological record. And it's like based on whatever you find, which is a full plethora of evidence that goes far back as the human race and has as many positive and negative things as humanity does. And anyone can pick and choose whatever they want from that and say, this means that humanity has been good all along. Or they could just as easily argue, no, you see, this is proof that humans are selfish down to their core, and they always have been. I was going to zoom out, but now you're making me zoom in a little bit, which is to get back to sort of the nature of like intelligence work too, because you need to only make a very cursory study of the way intelligence work actually happens and has happened historically to understand that, one, the kind of appeal to authority arguments that guy Adam is making are stupid. The kind of arguments that require you to come to some sort of definitive fact-based conclusion, unfortunately, are stupid when you're trying to understand the nature of intelligence work, because by its very nature, it is opaque, it is obscured,
when it's not possible.
It is mysterious. Yes, like it's unfortunate. The point is that we have to speculate wildly to understand these things because they work very fucking hard to make sure there's no clear trail.
Yeah, the reason that the conspiracies exist is because you have a government that operates in private interest. And so it's never going to tell you its real motives for why it's doing the things that it's doing. Those are its own private interests.
And once again, dovetailing on the point you made about George Orwell, I mean, it's pretty well known that the Iowa Writers Workshop was in part also a CIA soft power operation to attract left-leaning people who were critical of Stalin, because they wanted to be able to establish a position in the U.S. where you could be a leftist but also be against the Soviet Union. And I say this as like a big Vonnegut fan and a fan of other writers who were participating in that workshop. It's like, unfortunately, that's the nature of these things. They lay these they do these very subtle manipulations that, I mean, it's hard to tell what exactly the effects are in the long term, but we don't get to know for sure.
We're a country that's just getting cooked, essentially, because we can't know any of this. Until they're willing to tell us and pull the curtain back, we can't possibly know.
And so we get to speculate. And what's not speculation, what's very well-established fact, is that a very important tradecraft tool in intelligence historically is sexual fucking blackmail. That's not, that's as old as spying itself. And it's, I think, a pretty well-established fact that there was a pretty long period of time where the FBI was operating one of the largest child sexual assault material websites on the internet, because it was ostensibly a, like, you know, operation to catch these people, although there were also some files in the FBI involved. Surprise, surprise. But like,
and that's why, like, Ian Fleming wrote James Bond as this cool character who is also, he has sex with lots of women. Like, it's hinted right there that it goes back as far back as we've been fantasizing about these ideas of secret agents and people who are impugned to the law, who have a license to kill. What does that mean? That means that they don't have to abide by the pretense of international law that we pretend everybody else has to abide by. James Bond is cool because he doesn't have to do that. And if you want to live in a world,
treat people like they're disposable,
if you want to live in a world like that, where you treat people as disposable, then it's part and parcel of that to also have sexual blackmail be part of it. We know that that happened with Sukarno. There's a precedent of these. There's a precedent of these types of sexual blackmail things. And we also know there's a precedent of having to cover them up, and that one does not do these kinds of illegal actions in public. They do it on purpose in secret, which always is going to leave us to speculate.
And these people, the essence is that these people really want you to see them as a benevolent part of the state that works on your behalf, but in all actuality, they're fucking mobsters. They are no different than the fucking mafia movies. They're mafia neoliberalism. You know,
mafia neoliberalism. They work hand in glove with organized crime and intelligence. This has been said by the Chapo boys, but intelligence is the criminal arm. What is? Do you remember that quote? It's
Will describe the intelligence community as the organized crime for the ruling class, and that's 100% accurate.
There's a model for intelligence to cooperate with criminal cartels and to operate as hand in glove in this system by and for private interests, that whenever it's useful to break your own laws, there's already a pretense set up for that. And so intelligence is essentially the criminal enterprise for the rich. That's what the quote essentially is. It's how white collars criminals conduct their crimes, and it's where you get the funding for projects that aren't supposed to exist on paper in the first place. And that ties very much into Epstein.
And
where are you going to get money for people who aren't supposed to exist in the first place? If you look to the underbelly of the state and to the fact that these operations never seem to stop, no matter how much the state, in one hand, claims to be trying to stop them. Well, if we look back, there's a precedent with things like the French Connection and the Italian, the Pizza Connection, that this is where the money comes for the intelligence arms to do the things that are off the books.
On the subject of precedent, too, I mean, we talked about Ghislaine Maxwell a little bit. I think you mentioned her very obvious familial connections to the Mossad through her father, Robert Maxwell, who was very clearly a Mossad agent. And, I mean, Robert Maxwell's biography is pretty crazy, as you mentioned, but, like, you don't get a
fascinating
state funeral.
Again, another plug for Behind the Bastards. Check out the Robert Maxwell.
We're plugging podcasts, too. We're not just taking shots.
It's questionable if, sometimes we plug them. I like to plug this one. And sometimes we plug. Plugs are deserved. And Robert Maxwell's first half of his life, it's questionable if he's a bastard. And that's one of the interesting ones to check out, I think. That's a little different from the usual.
Spying is no one likes spies because they don't have any loyalty to anyone. That's a fact. But
exactly,
Robert Maxwell,
just like podcasters,
it was very
apparently.
clearly a misogynist. Right, just like podcasters. Cash Patel, Dan Bongino, you podcast and ask dorks. What are you? Anyway, so what I was saying too is like Robert Maxwell clearly connected to the Mossad. Ghislaine Maxwell, Jeffrey Epstein's right hand man. But I wanted to just get into like the early Epstein bio a little bit because just to review the facts of Jeffrey Epstein's death when he really came into everyone's awareness outside of Julie K.
First
Brown,
person in 30 years to die in a suicide prevention unit.
Alex Acosta was a key part of this when he was forced out of Trump's administration because people started acting like, whoa, this is this deal this guy worked out with this guy that he said belongs to intelligence really is some insane for someone who is up to such heinous, prolific child predatory behavior. It's crazy that they were letting
and there's
him
a model for that too. Look up
exactly.
Philip Arthur Thompson and watch the Octopus Murders. That's a great example of that. A serial killer who the CIA protected to do their dirty work.
That's how Epstein sort of broke into public consciousness. But how he got started was as a college dropout in Brooklyn, New York, who was hired at the Dalton School by a man named Donald Barr. And Donald Barr was a member of the OSS, which is the precursor to the CIA, and much more so even than the CIA. The OSS had the same quality that a mafia has, which is that you only leave in a box. You're in for life. It's not a job. It's an identity that you take on. Yeah. And Donald Barr, I posted this in the Discord. Donald Barr not only did his son oversee the murder of Jeffrey Epstein, he didn't kill himself.
Yes. In a prison cell that is meant for suicide prevention, and no one has committed suicide in the last 30 years. And the other co-conspirator, Brunel, also mysteriously killed himself by hanging in a French jail cell as well.
Right. Well, and so, he teaches at the Dalton School, and that seems creepy in its own right, but then he goes on to have the most insane career in, private equity ever, despite seeming like a relatively normal person, like a relatively mediocre person with not much very obvious or measurable in terms of where his success comes from. And then he leaves from that financial firm to start his own, and he gets power of attorney from Les Wexner for some reason that we still don't understand.
Very odd. Very odd. The owner of Victoria's Secret just gives him his entire fortune, billions of dollars. Very odd.
There's no way to characterize these facts that is not...
He does taxes so good. I just wanted to reward him.
There's no way to characterize these facts that is not an insane feat of mental gymnastics beyond just, this guy was an intelligence asset cultivating blackmail on people. And this is sorry to keep sidetracking. Don't think these things are bad. No, it's cool.
There's also, remember as just a good news update also along this line, remember one of the, I think his name's Wyden, he ended up saying that there's 4,700 transactions to just one of Epstein's accounts that totals over $1.1 billion. He received that much money in one account, and he said that this is at least 4,700 lines of inquiry. He's the treasury of the finance department, so I think he was saying that this is financial, and if he is able to, he will look into these 4,700 plus things as all of them being potential crimes, which I think is just interesting along those lines. Sorry to keep interrupting.
No, it's cool. I guess I wanted to close it out on one particularly fascinating little detour in Donald Barr's biography, too, which I don't know if you're aware of. Did you know of Donald Barr's career as an author?
No.
Pull up that Wikipedia page. It's a very obscure. Again, it's like the Epstein saga is so riddled with
that book
obscure and
Donald
disturbing
Barr, Space
facts.
Relations. Yeah.
Yeah. The Epstein saga is so riddled with obscure and disturbing facts, not speculations. That's what's so annoying about so many of these like QAnon people is like, you don't need to reach. You don't need to look for
and obviously William Barr served in Trump's first administration as one of his ruthless attorney generals who
his most
almost was willing
general.
to do almost his longest serving and most important
the guy
one,
who
most
cleaned all this up to the best of his ability, essentially. And like, I kind of want to read the plot summary of Space Relations, but it's kind of long. And the long story short is that, okay, I'll just read it because it's so depraved. So this is the book written in 1973 by the man who was the former OSS member and also the president of the Dalton School who hired Jeffrey Epstein. He wrote this book, and it's in the future, humans have formed an intergalactic empire ruled by aristocrats. During a time of war with the Plith, an empire of ant-like alien bug people, Ambassador John Craig, a formerly liberal Earthman in his 30s, is dispatched to the strategically important planet Kosar, a human colony that was settled by the Carlisle Society as a place of exile for political extremists, and is now ruled by an oligarch high council of 7 nobles, each of whom is in charge of a different domain with its own traditions. Their boredom and absolute power have driven them to madness, to the point that the Kosar's entry into the empire has been stymied by the man-inhabited planet's treaties clause written by Craig, the main character, against alliances with the slave-owning societies, due to its practice of kidnapping humans to become illegal playthings of the galaxy's super rich.
Whoa.
Craig, who now is campaigning to bring Kosar into the empire, had previously been to the planet when the passenger ship on which he was traveling on a return trip from Beetlejuice conference was captured by space pirates. While en route to Kosar, one of the pirates awakened Craig and the other prisoners to a 15-year-old virginal redhead female captive in front of them. The fellow pirate later hear of this and dock his pay as punishment for spoiling her market value. Craig then spent 2 years as a slave of the beautiful, sensual, and sadistic Lady Morgan Sidney, the only female member of the oligarchy with whom he became romantically involved. Together they lived in her castle, ruling over and engaging in sexual relations with those under their dominion, including an enslaved teenager at a clinic used to breed enslaved people. When Craig stumbles on hints of an alien invasion, he realizes he must escape to save humanity. Craig is depicted as undisturbed by Lady Morgan's sadism. When he is ordered to sexually assault the enslaved teenager, he enjoys his participation in the act. So this is, again, not conspiracy, not something that is like, this is on Wikipedia. This is a well-known fact.
That's
that
the guy
Donald
who inducted
Barr wrote this book.
Yeah,
this is the guy
and this is the guy who inducted
Epstein.
Jeffrey Epstein into the life of the spoiled wealthy. Prior to that, he has no record of ever being anyone exceptional. He's a college dropout, and I think either a substitute teacher or unremarkable high school teacher, essentially.
Right. So if anyone is ever, if any podcasters, Cash Patel, Dan Bongino are out there acting like, you know, giving you some like complex, confusing narrative about what's going on here and like who's actually the like, ooh, scary bad guy.
Alex Jones saying like, it's probably the Democrats feeding.
Actually, it's really not that complicated. These people are so isolated from humanity by their privilege that they truly do not see themselves as a part of humanity, and they see other human beings as simply playthings to be used to whatever you know, their like narcissistic will.
Of course, yeah, and there's so many parallels to like the Elon Musk, Peter Thiel. Of course, Elon Musk has been seen with Epstein, photos with Epstein. Also called out Trump and said he's in the Epstein files recently. Yeah. But of course, Elon Musk was hanging out with these same fucking weirdos who believe in the population. He has 11 children, at least by insemination, and believe many of the same weird things that Epstein was working on that we'll probably never know the full extent about. But yeah, this transhumanist bullshit. And a lot of these billionaires like Peter Thiel and Elon Musk.
Both men who probably had some interest in... we know fairly well that Elon has a strange penis at this point that has been altered scientifically. But the enigma of the Epstein egg-shaped penis, maybe there was some sort of attempt at penile enlargement there that went awry. I don't think people ever posit that, but I think that might be, I don't know. Who knows? I think we covered this pretty well.
Yeah, we really did, I think. But I think a great place to close it out on this subject would be to show the Peter Thiel clip. Did you ever see when he was asked if he would want to save humans? And
I don't want to end this episode with a prolonged clip of Peter Thiel speaking. We just ripped it. No, hey, let's just end it.
It's not prolonged. It'll be a funny place to end it.
All right. If it's not,
it's really relevant because it's about the transhumanism, and he's asked if he would want to save humanity, and he's basically like, I'm not sure. It's kind of like the same response you get from Trump about the Epstein files.
I know. Well, yeah,
he can't bring himself to a straight answer to say, I would want humanity to survive into the future.
Yeah, these people, they don't see them. They see themselves as exceptions from humanity. They see humanity as something to be evolved past. They see humanity as something that is messy and unpleasant, and not something that they think is good or like redeemable in any way. And in so believing this, they become the worst, most demonic versions of human beings that can be conceived of. God, you're gonna make me listen to this guy. What do we got?
We'll close it out with that.
Let's close it out.
We're gonna close it out. I'll put it in the outro. Thank you so much for listening.
Yeah, there you go. Put him in the outro, being a freak. But thank you so much for listening. If whoever's listening out there, Comrade Shark, once again, salute to all the Hexbear contingency who may be tuning in. We appreciate you so much. Follow me on Blue Sky at Butler's Ghost. I put all my best posts on there and my worst posts, and it's up to you to decide which is which.
Follow the show too on Blue Sky.
Yeah, follow us on Blue Sky. Thanks for listening. Catch us next week or some other whenever we get to it. Look out for the Florida series too. It's coming. This place.
Yeah, look out. And hey, if someone ever asks you if you want to save humanity or at least have humanity survive into the future, come up with a better response than this.
And Epstein didn't kill himself.
And he's not going away.
He's not going away. All right. Peace.
You would prefer the human race to endure, right? You can't shake you're hesitating.
Yeah, well,
yes?
I don't know. I would...
This is a long hesitation. It's a long hesitation.
There's so many questions and
should the human race survive?
Yes.
Okay.
But I also would I also would like us to radically solve these problems.